Welcome, dear listeners, to another gripping episode of Oliver the Time Traveler. As we step once more into the pages of history, our fearless traveler, Oliver, finds himself amidst the tumult of Leiden, a city veiled in both chaos and enigma. Today, we accompany Oliver and Isabella on their journey back to her sanctuary, where the mysteries of the past collide with the urgency of the present. So, without further ado, let's embark on this remarkable tale of time, destiny, and the enduring bonds that transcend centuries. As Oliver and Isabella leave the mayor's house, they set a brisk pace on their way back to her sanctuary. Isabella glances at Oliver and conveys a sense of urgency, saying, "We have much to discuss, but it must wait until we're home." Their quick stride is momentarily halted as Isabella spots her neighbor nearby. She takes a moment to approach him and, with a sense of earnestness, shares a crucial piece of information. William of Orange is planning to flood the Spaniards, she informs her neighbor, her voice carrying a tone of seriousness. Everyone must prepare for tonight. The neighbor's face begins to glow with a glimmer of hope as Isabella shares the news. His voice carries a soft, heartfelt tone as he replies, "Thank you, Isabella. I must go and inform some people as well." With a sense of solidarity, he continues, "I've left a small bag of fresh grains for the pigeons next to your door. It's not much, but it's something." Isabella smiles warmly at her neighbor's thoughtful gesture. "Thank you," she says sincerely. "Every contribution matters." With mutual gratitude, they exchange farewells and continue on their separate paths, each with their own tasks and responsibilities to fulfill. Isabella and Oliver navigate the winding streets of Leiden, making their way without delay. Soon, they arrive at Isabella's house, greeted by the soothing cooing of pigeons in their houses. Isabella pauses for a moment to scatter some corn and grains for her feathered companions. Then, turning to Oliver, she smiles warmly and says, "Come on in, we've earned a moment to relax, have something to drink and eat." Oliver and Isabella step through the door, entering the small, welcoming house. They proceed through a cozy living room to the back of the house, where the kitchen awaits. Isabella deftly starts a fire in the stove, the flames crackling to life with warmth. She places a kettle filled with water on it, the promise of a comforting brew in the air. Oliver, eager to contribute, takes off his bag and presents a selection of food on the table. He places fresh bread and an assortment of fruits, gifts from Galileo, before Isabella. A smile graces her face as she gazes upon the fresh fruits, and she expresses her delight, saying, "I'm thrilled to see some fresh fruits. They are a rare treat in these times." Isabella quickly prepares a pot of tea, the fragrant steam filling the kitchen as it brews. She finally settles at the table, her expression expectant. With a playful glint in her eye, she turns to Oliver and asks, "So, here we can speak freely. Who's going to start the conversation?" Oliver takes a moment, sipping his tea thoughtfully. He leans in and begins. "I've learned quite a bit about how the watch works, but that's a long story for another time." His gaze becomes earnest as he continues. "What I want to do is rescue all the lost watchers, those stuck wherever they are. I believe there's a way to bring them back to their own time." With curiosity in his eyes, he turns the conversation back to Isabella. "But I'm equally curious about your journey. Where are you from and how did you arrive in this specific time in Leiden, right at the moment the city is surrounded and facing such a dark time?" Isabella begins her story with a nostalgic tone. "I am from Malaga in Spain," she says, her voice carrying the warmth of her homeland. "I was working at the ancient Greek and Roman ruins of Empires on the Costa Brava, exploring the remains of these ancient civilizations." As she recounts her tale, her eyes shimmer with memories. "It was during the digging that my hands came across something hard and metallic." With animated gestures, she continues. "Curiosity got the better of me, and I carefully unearthed the watch that you are wearing." A smile plays at the corners of her lips as she remembers that pivotal moment. Without fully comprehending what it was, I decided to put it on my wrist and pressed the key that mysteriously lit up in a captivating shade of green. It was as if the watch took me to on a journey I could never have imagined. I must admit, I didn't have a clue how the watch worked, she confides. But as soon as I pressed that key, I found myself transported, not just in space, but in time itself. Her voice takes on a note of wonder as she recounts her arrival in Leiden. I materialized in the middle of a bustling street in broad daylight, surrounded by people who gazed at me with wide-eyed astonishment. It was clear to everyone that I was a stranger from another era. Oliver, intrigued and empathetic, asks Isabella, "How did you manage to survive in such a foreign and bewildering time?" As I stood there, amazed and bewildered, surrounded by the curious gazes of passers-by, she explains. I looked down at the watch in astonishment. Her voice takes on an animated tone as she describes her discovery. It was then that I noticed the red button, she continues. And, without a second thought, I pressed it. In an instant, I found myself bathed in that familiar white light, transported back to the very same moment, at the very same spot at the excavation site in Spain, where I had unearthed the watch. How did you cope with the shock of this incredible find? Asks Oliver. Isabella's eyes shimmer with a mix of emotions as she reflects on that momentous occasion. To be honest, she confides. I was filled with excitement, knowing that I had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. But at the same time, I felt an urge to keep it a secret, as if sharing this wondrous mystery with the world would somehow diminish its enchantment. I quickly grasped that I had been transported to a time somewhere in the Middle Ages, she begins. But the city itself was a mystery to me. I had no way of knowing exactly which city I had arrived in. As I stood there on the streets, I picked up on some Dutch words, she says. It led me to assume that I had been transported to a city in Holland. You see, my mother was Dutch, and she had passed down the language to me. Isabella's eyes gleam with a sense of adventure as she explains her intentions to Oliver. I did have plans to return to that city in Holland, she admits with a smile. Not realizing the turmoil that awaited me there. But before I embarked on any further journey, my first goal was to procure some appropriate clothing. I knew that to explore the intriguing middle-aged surroundings properly, I needed to blend in seamlessly. After all, exploration is in my nature, and I couldn't resist the allure of this newfound world. Oliver's curiosity deepens, and he inquires further, Isabella, from what year did you initially travel to this time? And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Isabella meets Oliver's gaze, her eyes filled with the wisdom of her experiences. The year I left in Spain was 1922, she shares. And as for my age, I'm currently 21 years old. She smiles warmly as she continues. I was working as an archaeologist, until I was robbed of the watch here in Leiden, and so I got stuck over here, and now I am here for more than half a year working for the mayor to send the mail by pigeons to William of Orange. As they share a meal and drinks, Oliver expresses his fascination with Isabella's incredible journey. Your story is truly amazing, he tells her, a glint of excitement in his eyes. I come from another era, you see, the year 2022, and I am 19. My own time travel story is quite lengthy, but I do have the means and understanding to travel wherever we desire. It's even possible that the location of the thief who took your watch might be stored in the watch's memory. Oliver continues to share his extraordinary tale with Isabella. You see, he says, I had the privilege of meeting a man named Galileo, who happens to be the creator of the celestial maps. The watch was perfected once by Da Vinci, and it was given by him to Galileo's father, who later passed it down to Galileo himself, who made it work in combination with those very maps, which allows me, to make a long story short, to travel through time. Isabella gazes at Oliver with a mixture of disbelief and wonder, her eyes reflecting the vastness of the universe that has just opened up before her. It's truly wondrous, she exclaims, her voice tinged with excitement. I'm overjoyed that we've met, Oliver. Her curiosity about the upcoming night, with William of Orange's daring plan to breach the dikes, is palpable. I'm eager to see what unfolds tonight, she admits. Though I've read about Leiden's history in school and know the outcome, there's something mesmerizing about experiencing it firsthand. I already knew that William of Orange now will become king, but to witness the events that lead to it is something else entirely. Oliver's eyes gleam with intrigue as he considers the prospect of witnessing the events of the night. He looks up and asks, "Is there a good vantage point on the city walls where we can observe what's going to happen?" Being there to witness history unfold, even if we know the outcome, could indeed be an extraordinary experience. Isabella nods in agreement, her eyes shining with anticipation. "Indeed," she says, "the spot where we released the pigeons offers an excellent view of the Spanish camps. It's the perfect place to observe the events of the night unfold." But then, she turns her gaze back to Oliver, her curiosity piqued. "Is there something more you can tell me, Oliver? Your knowledge and your watch seem to hold secrets, and I'm eager to learn from you." Oliver, a hint of concern in his voice, asks Isabella, "Are you certain we're safe here, that no one will disturb us?" Isabella reassures him with a confident nod. "Absolutely. We are guarded because of the pigeons in the garden. They are of great importance, and a messenger will always knock on the front door if anyone needs me." With that assurance, Oliver begins to tidy up the table. He retrieves the wooden box from his bag and sets it down carefully. "Hold on a moment," he says. Reaching into his pocket, he pulls out the key and deftly inserts it into the box's lock. As the box opens, a breathtaking sight unfolds before them. The 8 celestial maps shimmer and hover, casting a majestic aura throughout the room. Isabella is left in awe, her eyes fixed on the ethereal display before her. Dear listeners, with Oliver and Isabella surrounded by the mesmerizing glow of the celestial maps in the cozy confines of the tiny house, we bring this episode to a close. We'd like to extend our gratitude to our dear listeners for joining us on this journey. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned, and please like and subscribe for the next installment as we continue to explore the fascinating world of Oliver the Time Traveler and his companions. Until then, take care, and may the secrets of time be ever in your favor. Until the next one.